This episode is brought to you by Disney. This Thanksgiving, Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde are back on the big screen. So grab your family and friends as Disney invites you to return to Zootopia for the phenomenal movie event of the holiday season. See all your favorite Zootopia characters plus new favorites in the most pawsome movie of the year. Don't miss Disney Zootopia 2 when it hits theaters everywhere November 26th. Get your tickets now.
Hey friends, this is Audie Cornish, host of CNN This Morning and The Assignment, and guess what? Every story you care about, every angle you want unpacked is now streaming on CNN. That means you can catch my show or other CNN programming whenever you want on your favorite device. And a subscription also gets you access to exclusive video series and unlimited articles. So subscribe to CNN at cnn.com/subscription.
Buckeye Talk is about to begin. Hey, 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 come on in.
I think that's why we're starting there, because I think I've understood it. He can't be the starter still, but it's welcome back to Buckeye Talk. I'm Stephen Means, and that's Stefan Krajisnik, and this is your Monday Leave No Doubt pod. Every week we try to answer the question, did Ohio State leave no doubt? And sometimes that's rewatching a game and talking about it from that perspective and the X's and O's perspective. Sometimes it's a bigger picture conversation. Sometimes it's using the outside world to answer that question about Ohio State as well. Today, we're tapping into anti-Steven, because we're not really going to talk about the passing game at all, because there was nothing wrong with the passing game. Julian Sand's pick was, I think I know what happened on the pick. If you rewatch the play, Stefan, Jeremiah sits in a zone because they dropped 8. Brandon Ennis is looking at it as scramble drill. I don't think that target was the Jeremiah Smith in one of our texters, 614-350-3315. I think it was the Brandon Ennis, but either way, it just shouldn't have been thrown. He should have just thrown it out the back of the end zone and lived another day. Whatever. And then on the other play to Max Blair, he just threw a bad pass. Whatever. Julian Sand doesn't do either one of those things enough for us to spend more than the 15 seconds I just spent on it. We're going to be talking offensive line. We're going to be talking running backs. We'll talk a little bit of receiver too, just because I felt like, and you wrote this at the buzzer, Stefan, with the skill positions, especially receiver and offensive line a little bit, today was probably the best possible day to learn about people who have not been the starters and what type of depth Ohio State has. And I felt like we learned some good, some bad, and a little bit of in between. But regardless, the positive is we learned things.
Yeah, it feels like the moment you hit record on this podcast, we were getting ready to, light up Tegra Shabola and everything that he's done along the offensive line. And then now that you're recording and there's this red button, I'm looking at my notes thinking to myself, I don't know, was Tegra Shabola really that bad in terms of what Ohio State did offensively? And I think the answer is yes and no. And then I think you look at Mylan Graham, and I think the answer is yes and no. I think you look at Bryson Rodgers, and the answer is yes and no. And then ultimately, I come up with a thesis statement of what this podcast is about to be, and the answer is there's a lot of young dudes who haven't gotten a lot of opportunities, and when they stepped in for Ohio State against Purdue, there was a lot of good, and there was a lot of bad.
So offensively against Purdue, there were a lot of people who got snaps. There were 10 different offensive linemen who took a snap, 5 different tight ends, 5 different wide receivers, 4 different running backs, and 2 different quarterbacks who took a snap in this game. And the whole game was essentially garbage minute snaps. Ohio State was never in any danger of losing this game. This felt like the closest thing we could see to a scrimmage that we could see from Ohio State in a real game. And to start with Tegra, we'll start old and we'll get young. And when I sent Stefan the rundown for today's pod, the first bullet point is, what exactly is wrong with Tegra Shabola? And you kind of answered it. It's a little bit of yes and a little bit of no. And I figured it out. And I'm going to use this. I'm going to start with positivity. He had a really good pancake on Ohio State's 3rd and 3 with about 3:10 left in the second quarter, where it's like, yes, that's what it looks like. He's 6'6", 330 pounds. Yeah, that's just good job. I almost was looking actively for those types of plays, because there's no way a guy who played 65 snaps and it's just like 65 snaps of hell. Like, no, it's really more like 15 bad snaps and 11 of them ended up with consequence. And the other ones are just like Tyler Bowen and him are going to have conversations about it.
Yeah, it's odd. It's odd because I had a lot of the same feelings you did upon rewatching this today, where I'm thinking to myself, okay, Tegra made a few decent plays.
Yeah.
Where I'm looking at it, thinking to myself, it's not that bad. Why is it for a player with this experience that it gets a little worse down the stretch? You get what I'm saying?
A lot of his mistakes are in the second half.
Yeah, for a player who's got a lot of experience, and you would think it's the inverse, right? You would think that a Gabe Van Sickle, Ethan Onyawa, Josh Padilla, when he's healthy, it gets worse down the stretch, right? A guy comes in, he's amped up, he's making some plays early, and then it gets worse down the stretch. It kind of feels like it was a flip. It was flipped with Tegra Shabola, where it's a dude who has a ton of experience, comes out strong, but then kind of fades as the game goes on. And I'm looking at my notes here, and I've notoriously become the guy on Buckeye Talk who takes notes and very bad handwriting is trying to figure out what I said after the fact. A lot of it after the fact is Tegra Shabola played pretty well early on. And then I'm looking at my notes from the second half, and I don't see a lot of Tegra Shabola's name coming up. Positively. His name comes up in the second half. It's not positively.
Yeah, obviously, I think the loudest two moments are James Peoples scores on a screen pass. If Tegra Shabola, well, because even Jake Butt needs to be on TV more.
Yes.
He's great at this. Though both of them didn't realize Carnell Tate wasn't in the game until 10 minutes left in the second quarter. So that's not great. But overall, I think Jake Butt he's my favorite color commentator to listen to because you can tell he pays attention. You can tell he watches film. He's smart. He says it in a way that average fans can understand what he's trying to say. And it's just great. He needs to be on TV more. Put Jake Butt on TV more.
Yes.
Put him on TV more. James Peoples should have scored, but Tegra Shabola misses badly because he never really identifies the guy. He kind of gets caught up in the defensive lineman, which he should have just let run free because you're running a screen anyway, so you're not worried about the guy who's in front of you. And then he oversets, and then James Peoples gets rocked. I think James Peoples scores if Tegra executes, that's a touchdown. The sack he gave up, I'll give him half a point for that being his fault. I just don't think him and Carson Hinsman handled the stunt very well, which can happen when you don't communicate, and that can happen. That's the whole point of stunts, though, is the confusing offensive line, and the handoffs are not always great, and that's what happened in those situations. But here's my conclusion, because I don't know if I'm sure you ran through a lot more of them, but I kept coming to the same conclusion. He misses often because he doesn't have his feet under him, and he stops trusting his technique. And all of a sudden, he's like reaching out to try to get it. And it's like the worst possible position you can be in because then he just gets beat. And then there's no recovery for him. And I think the reason why it was important that both of us kind of acknowledge that a lot of these are happening in the second half is that you get tired, you get stupid. You stop relying on your training, you get mentally fatigued, right? And I think that's part of the reason why you have been saying, really since last year, it's probably best that they continue to rotate him regardless, because then that's less he has to play. It probably wasn't great that he had to play 65 of the 75 snaps on Saturday, but I just think he is not physically built maybe to play more than 40 snaps in a game, because he almost hits this like ceiling of how many he can play that day. And then all of a sudden, his game just like tanks. And what you can't have is he's on snap 46 in a college football playoff game, and he doesn't ID something correctly. And now all of a sudden, Julian Sands got a blitzing linebacker in his lap. Or Bo Jackson, who had a grown man run on a 3rd and 3, has to do that 11 times in a game because Tegra Shabola didn't block the guy he was supposed to block.
And I'm trying to figure out, is that a problem? Because I think it is.
Yes.
I think it is.
It's a problem now. Yes, it's a problem. It's a problem. It's a problem because it goes back to what I've been saying this for a couple of weeks. It's not about the ceiling. It's about a floor. And when your floor starts bottoming out every time fatigue starts to set in, that's how you struggle putting games away. And you can't have that.
And I leave this game wondering to myself, and maybe we'll touch on this here in a second. If Josh Padilla is healthy, does he win the starting job Saturday at West Lafayette?
Well, they got UCLA, Rutgers, Michigan,
Yep.
and they played 75 snaps. They had 75 plays on Saturday.
Yeah, they did.
I don't know if I realized that in real time. Like, I'm starting to ramp it up a little bit. Granted, Purdue was getting a lot of 3 and out, so they had a lot of possessions.
Right.
But still, it's a lot of 15 more plays than what they're averaging right now. I like it. I think so. 75 plays where I think they would have split. I think they would have had an even amount of snaps, and I think they would have had an even amount of snaps next week, or maybe it would have been 60%, 40% Josh Padilla, and then Josh Padilla would have started against Rutgers.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And now that they said that they're hoping to get Josh back for this week, and at worst in the next 2 weeks, I'm wondering if that throws off the math a little bit of whether they can do that. Because then you get back to Tegra Chabola's played against Michigan before as a starter. Josh Padilla has never played against Michigan before, even as a rotational guy. Mm-hmm. And do you want to throw him in that environment?
Yeah, it's all setting up for that.
Or what do you think of Ethan Inyawa snaps?
It wasn't bad, right? It was okay.
Did you think he was better at right guard or right tackle? Left guard or left? He played everywhere on the freaking offensive line.
I thought he was best at right guard.
Okay. Because he played... I'm trying to figure it out. He played 12 snaps. 9 of them came at right tackle. 3 of them came at right guard. And that's because you couldn't have Ian Moore out there and playing 75 straight snaps in his first game. I think that Ian Moore, Gabe Van Sickle, and Ethan Inyawa have given Ohio State some options in what they want to do over the next 2 games. And I'm sure they'll tinker more often than not over the next 2 weeks, especially this. I don't know if they'll tinker as much against Rutgers, but I think they'll tinker some more against UCLA because they can. But I liked what I saw from Gabe Van Sickle. I thought that was the best that Ethan Inyawa's looked all season. I thought Ian Moore looked pretty decent at right tackle. I just don't know if having all these options with 3 games left in the regular season is good or bad. Because I can't tell if they have all these options.
I think it's good.
It's good? Okay. Because I can't tell if it's those guys pop so much that it's like, oh, we didn't know these options were going to be there. Or we're just searching for reasons to not play Tegra Chabola anymore.
I think it's good, but I think my opinion might be swayed by what Luke Montgomery was last year. We did not think Luke Montgomery was going to be Luke Montgomery until literally the college football playoff, where he was thrown out there and having to do what he had to do. I think that's why I look at Ethan Inyawa. I think that's why I look at Gabe Van Sickle, thinking to myself, maybe this will click in time for Indiana or, I don't know, Texas Tech. Good defensive line in Texas Tech. Maybe that's where it clicks a little bit. Or maybe this team wins a national title. It doesn't matter.
That's what I just... That can't be everybody's answer to everything. Because it's... Or maybe it is. I listened to a lot of different people's around the beats and how they reacted to that game. And Austin and Berm, they were like trying their hardest to not be nitpicky about some of the stuff they saw. I think Spencer and Mick were maybe a little bit more on the positive end of things. Bill and Doug, I mean, Bill loves the offensive line, so you can guess they dived right into the offensive line stuff.
He loves offensive line play. I don't know if he loves the offensive line.
But let me make that clear. He loves to talk about the offensive line. That's the difference. Him with the offensive line is me with wide receivers.
That's fair.
Yeah. Gurdon or bit of both, right? I think everybody is trying to figure out, okay, we know what the one flaw is on offense, and it's the right side of the offensive line. Is it actually a flaw that can cost this team a national championship? And I think for the first time all season, what we saw from the right side of the offensive line, specifically at that guard spot, was indeed enough of a problem to cost Ohio State a national championship. And Ryan Day, his answer was, I saw what you guys saw, which is like him literally retweeting whatever we say about what we saw about the right guard spot. And if we've reached that point, has Ohio State reached a point where when they're watching that film on Sunday and Monday, it is time to actively make the change and spend 3 weeks getting Josh Padilla ready to be your starting right guard for the rest of the season, barring he's healthy? Or is it just more of a reason to keep throwing a whole bunch of different guys at it? And maybe there's just a revolving door at the right guard spot.
It's probably a revolving door. Maybe. Not. Probably. Potentially.
Josh Padilla didn't win the job, but Tegra Chabola lost it on Saturday.
Right. When we were driving back from West Lafayette, I kept thinking to myself, you can't lose a job due to injury unless you're not the one who's injured. Right? Does that make sense?
Yes. No. It doesn't, but that's why it makes sense, because that's this entire situation, because we don't get to see practice during the season.
Right.
So as far as we know, that's the best effort in practice every week. That Tegra at 9 games in still has this job.
But here's the thing. Here's why it matters so much 1A in terms of why it matters so much is it's Ohio State and everything matters. Ryan Day, you asked Ryan Day on Tuesday about does it matter to you that Julian Saban wins the Heisman? And he was like, yeah, everything matters. So that's like 1A. 1B is everything matters in the sense of the joke I kept bringing up on our postgame pod of the stone, right? Like they're talking about David and Goliath and like the stone is what killed Goliath. Like Ryan Day said that to us. Like he knows that if Ohio State loses a college football playoff game, it's because the smallest thing might have killed them. The smallest thing might be right guard. Like it's as simple as that, right? Because we can go up and down this roster, and I know we're going to talk about the receiver play later, and we're going to talk about different things later. Listen, if the thing that kills this team is Bryson Rodgers having to play a lot more, that's unpredictable, right? That's the result of Carnell Tate's injury being more than Ohio State saying, oh, there was tightness, we're taking a precautionary measure, right? Like that's, you can't predict that. Like you can't predict precautionary tightness. You can predict Tegra Shabola not playing great because we've seen it time and time again. And if that's the stone, if that's how you want to approach this, Ryan Day, because he said it himself, then you got to do something to fix it. And maybe the solution is Josh Padilla when he's healthy. Did you walk away from rewatching this game thinking, damn, I wish Josh Padilla was healthy and playing in this game just so we could have somewhat of an answer there?
Every single play.
Yeah.
All 75 snaps.
Because
every single time.
Because Gabe Van Sickle snaps like, he was fine, right? Like he was fine. He's fine. Ethan Oyala playing some right guard. Let me switch over to my tab here. He played 3 snaps at right guard. Ethan Oyala was fine at right guard. I wish I had 13 snaps worth of Josh Padilla at right guard to give you a bit more of an answer, because I can tell you Tegra Shabola wasn't great. The problem is I can't tell you if someone else was better because we didn't see Josh Padilla.
It's very easy right now to sit here and say, oh, Josh Padilla would have made that block and James Peoples would have scored. Josh Padilla wouldn't have given up that sack in that situation because like there's no, all right, I don't have to go prove that.
But I think Tyler Bowen and Ryan Day and Brian Hartline are on the contrary too, of where they're like, I don't know, did you see Josh Padilla against Penn State? Did you see him during practices against Penn State? It probably wasn't perfect. Otherwise, he'd probably be starting too, right?
And that's the other problem. He barely played against Penn State because he got hurt.
Yes. But also on Tuesday before Penn State, it's not like Ryan Day was sitting in the press conference being like, Josh Padilla playing like Quentin Nelson. That's not what he was saying.
No. He just said Josh Padilla has done enough to be the 6th offensive lineman and to earn playing time.
Yeah, because
it was not
Josh Padilla, he was talking about Tegra Shabola. Like Tegra Shabola had a damn good 2 weeks of practice,
and he did. He probably did
because he played well against Penn State.
Which goes back to, and I brought it up. Austin Ward was the one who asked the question a couple of weeks about the idea of Tegra Shabola when he feels like his like job is on the line, like when he has to go fight for it, he shows up. Right, which Ryan Day talking about Josh Padilla the way he did, and the fact that we went into the bye week all going, hey, what's the chances that Josh Padilla comes out of the next 2 weeks and he's the starting right guard, right? Like the fact that was happening actively and it produced the best game we've seen from Tegra Shabola all year, that's not a coincidence. Just like it's not a coincidence that as soon as Josh Padilla wasn't in the picture because he got hurt against Penn State and now he's missing a week of practice and he's not making the trip up to Purdue, all of a sudden Tegra Shabola takes a complete 180 in quality of play. That's not a coincidence either. It's not great and it's not a good thing that you have to feel like you're being threatened to keep your job. It's great to see that you have competitive fire and juice in you, but it shouldn't take outside people to motivate you to do that. If that is indeed what is happening in this situation, I'm not going to say for certain that's what's happening. But that's just, it was a question that was presented to Ryan Day, and he didn't say, no, that's not what it is. In fact,
he kind of said, yes, it is what it is.
Off of Tegra. Yeah, he took the attention off of Tegra and used it as a chance to compliment Josh Padilla. He also did not deny that Tegra Shabola did not play well on Saturday. So it's yes, to answer your question, I wish that Josh Padilla would have been healthy because I think right now we're living in a world where I said it earlier of, if Josh Padilla would have played and Tegra Shabola played that bad, Josh Padilla would have snatched the job, and now he's starting against UCLA and starting against Rutgers. And by the time we get to the Michigan game, he's playing all 65 snaps, or at bare minimum, he's playing 55 of them, and Tegra Shabola is rotating in for 10 of them. And that is not true in the slightest. That's a hypothetical based on absolutely nothing more than another example of, we don't like the guy that we're seeing and how he's playing. We want to see the new shiny thing. And that's also what's happening at wide receiver, which is another reason why Saturday was so important, because nobody's a new shiny thing anymore.
And it goes back to, we had the new shiny thing conversation last year where we're thinking to ourselves, oh, is Oregon the cream of the crop in the Big Ten? Like, new shiny thing can go two directions. One direction is new shiny thing is really fun and really interesting, and new shiny thing beats Ohio State. The other direction is new shiny thing isn't particularly great, and can Tegra Shabola step up at right guard?
Yes.
For the sake of conversation, for us, for me and you and Andrew, it's for the sake of conversation. If you're Ryan Day, you're thinking for the sake of potentially finding an answer. It's very important that Josh Padilla plays against UCLA.
Like, it's the most important thing that needs to happen this week. But like right under making sure nobody gets hurt.
Right. Yeah. That's assumed. That's assumed.
Yeah, that's like the obvious thing. But of things that are like, well, no, duh. It's 100% should be the number one goal. That Josh Padilla can give you a great sample size of snaps against UCLA.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know, man. Ryan Day's put it in my head of like, I don't know, if he says that this stone is what killed Goliath, then I don't think we're off guard by thinking that right guard might be what hurts his, because we had this conversation. What, I can't remember what game it was. Let's, for the sake of conversation, let's say it was the Washington game, where we were talking about right guard, and you presented the question, okay, but will Ohio State lose because of right guard? Maybe. Yeah,
now it's, I don't think before Saturday it was even, I would have been like, no, probably not. They'll scheme around it, whatever. If that's the new floor of it, then yeah, maybe they could lose a football game because of it.
Yeah, because I don't know, but like Julian Sand was on the ground a lot. Like a lot.
Yeah. And the thing is, his pocket movement is so elite that he probably should have been on the ground more. But it's the fact that he was on the ground a lot, and it felt like it took away from some things they wanted to get done. Now, it didn't help, right? They tried to get a deep shot to Max Clare. He fell down because they were playing on grass. They tried to get him a touchdown. Julian Sand overthrew him, right? But there were also some other plays where it was good. They were drawing up some things to get some guys open down deep, and Julian Sand either got sacked or he had to run and scramble, and maybe he picked up a first down on one of them, and then the other one he just got back to the line of scrimmage and got down. But it's that type of stuff, right? It's they tried to take some shots on first down and they couldn't do it because the protection didn't hold up in those situations. And it felt like consistently when we say the protection didn't hold up in a certain place, we're talking about one spot, and it's the interior right guard spot. And so I don't know. I don't even know if that was helpful for people. One of the things I put on here is, what's the starting right side by the Michigan game, assuming everybody is available in the next 2 weeks. But I just kind of killed that entire projection by saying that, like, oh, it's easy to say Josh Padilla is going to be the starter by Michigan week because Tegra Shabola didn't look good and Josh Padilla didn't have to show anything.
I think it's Josh Padilla.
With that being said, I think it's Josh Padilla.
Yeah.
Or I think I'm throwing out a fantasy concept here. I thought Ian Moore looked really good.
To the point where he cross-trains and plays some right guard for you? Or Philip Daniels plays some right guard for you?
I'm open to anything.
You have
I'm open to all of it.
With the way the staff has approached offensive line, you have to be open to it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because you didn't... This is obviously a joke, but like, I don't know. Ian Moore is showing you can play some tackle. Why not put him at left guard and Austin Searville at right guard? Or why not put Ian Moore at left tackle and Austin Searville at right guard?
Because you didn't do all that cross-training in the spring and early in fall camp for nothing. You did it because
everyone's, when we talk about right guard, everyone's available.
Everybody not named Carson Hinsman is available to play right guard.
Yes.
I might put Austin Searville on that list. He's been a really good left tackle. But it's the fact, but he's played guard before. So that what we're talking about is in terms of doing something that wouldn't completely throw off the continuity of everything, like everybody's available with Carson Hinsman to play right guard at this point. But more than likely, Luke Montgomery's had some misses here or there, but I mean, that's his or not don't seem like they're inerrant issues. It just seems like you're playing football and you don't win every single rep. So center to left tackle, that I think that's the most written in stone thing possible. But I now think that there are like 4 different people between Ian Moore, the fact that during warmups they flipped Ethan Nyawa and Gabe Van Sickle left and right side. I think Gabe Van Sickle's part of this conversation now. I think that Phillip Daniels moving in to right guard is an idea. I think Ian Moore being a right tackle, right guard. I think everything is on the line because that's the whole point of what they did for the first 9 months of the year, is like creating positional flexibility on the offensive line.
Wait, assuming health is in place, do you think we see Ethan Oyal play right guard again in important snaps against Rutgers or UCLA? Do you think we see, obviously Josh Padilla, obviously Tegra Shabola, do you think we see Gabe Van Sickle important snaps at right guard? I'm wondering if Ryan Day is just going to throw it all out there, where we see Austin Searveld, Luke Montgomery, Carson Hinsman, and probably Phillip Daniels at right tackle.
Probably.
And it's like first 2 drives is Tegra, next 2 drives is Josh Padilla. If it doesn't look particularly great, maybe we get a drive with Gabe Van Sickle at right guard. Like, does he throw it all out there until someone proves it?
There's not a lineup they could throw out there. Obviously, like if you put Carter Lowe or something, or like J-Bell McFadden, right? But like of the people we're talking about in this conversation, there's not a lineup he could throw out there on Saturday that I would be like flabbergasted by it. I'd almost like lock in more and just want to watch the offensive line for the entire snap and not really care about what the other 6 guys on the football field are doing in that moment.
Yeah.
Because I would almost, if I see it, I'd be like, this is the most necessary thing they've done of all the tinkering they've done this season. Because they have to get this right. Even if the answer is 2 guys are sharing the spot. They have to get it right. I also like Justin Terry as the tackle eligible. I didn't like them handing the ball off to Nate Roberts for one of the plays, but I do like the jumbo heavy packages. I like those. You don't.
No. I'm going to take you a step further. I think Caden McDonald might catch a pass against Michigan.
No, I don't think so. Because you remember,
there's a lot of numbers. There's a lot of numbers you could have put on Justin Terry's back. There's a lot of numbers on a football jersey.
Yeah, they've used 41 as a tackle eligible in the past. So the fact that they made it a defensive tackle, I thought it was Caden McDonald at first. And so when the announcer was going like, number 65 is number 90.
I was getting a donut. In the back of the press box, and I heard 98 is on the field. I was like, I almost said something bad into the microphone. I was like, holy crap. Caden McDonald's about to catch a pass.
And if we're he's done the role before. They've used defensive linemen before in those roles. 2023, I believe, if I have the year correctly, Caden Curry did some fullback stuff for most of the season, and then Caden McDonald did it in the Cotton Bowl that year. So they have used defensive tackles and defensive ends in that role before.
Are you surprised we haven't seen more Bison this year? I felt like we saw more last year, right? Like I remember Ryan Day like talking about the Bison last year.
Yeah, like
and
Luke Montgomery.
This year it was like, oh, there's Justin Terry. We haven't really seen that.
Because they've been playing so many tight ends, man. Tight ends.
It's okay. I'm going to ask you. Here I am. I'm doing the question asking on this pod. I keep asking questions. Questions. Roles reversed. Do you make something of Justin Terry continuously being the guy we talk about this year? Right? Like he's the backup right tackle in the sense of like Ian Moore is the backup left tackle, right? Like if a tackle goes down, Ian Moore is coming in.
But for the sake of a 2D depth chart, yes, he's the backup right tackle.
There's Justin Terry getting out there. In pregame warmups, he's with the 2s. And then there's Justin Terry getting out there with, a tackle eligible. I'm kind of like telling you to tell me like, let's keep an eye on this guy in the spring. Because his name keeps coming up, right? Like, I think you look at this roster and you say, oh, the starting tackles next year are going to be Carter Lowe and Ian Moore. It's like, I don't know, man. Terry's name keeps coming up. He keeps getting backup reps and pregame. He keeps getting reps during games. Like, should we be keeping an eye on this guy?
So all 5 starters on the offensive line, day 1 starters, could be back in 2026. I am not going to take that as just because all 5 of you come back means you all 5 are going to have starting jobs in 2026. Because I think Justin Terry is interesting. I think 3rd-year Ian Moore is interesting. I think 2nd-year Carter Lowe is interesting. I think 2nd-year Jake Cook and Javon McFadden are interesting. I think Jake Cook, who has been a backup left guard at times this year, and now he's like getting some rep at center. I think he's intriguing this year because Padilla is probably going to be this. Well, I don't know, but I think Tyler Bowen's going to have a gluttonous of options to choose from. So just because you came back and you started in 25 does not mean you are a starter in 26. So the question we asked earlier of what's the starting right side of the offensive line, and I said anybody who we're talking about in this conversation, they could throw that lineup out there on Saturday, and I won't be shocked. There is not a lineup that they could have the result be when they take the field against Texas in week 2 next year, where I'm like, what? That's crazy. I'd be like, okay, I can see how they got there, which is why they cross-train in the spring. Yeah, so there's not a wrong answer.
I think Josh Padilla is kind of like the penciled-in center of the future. I don't know. What if they Cook at center and they think Padilla is better at right guard? Right. I'm not ruling that out. I'm not ruling that out at all.
Like, you're the center of the future, but you're going to be in your 4th year in the program. Yeah. And the guy who's a starting center right now might be back next year. Yeah. So I don't think Tyler Bowen year 2 with a very large offensive line room, both in like numbers, but then also the human beings who are in that room. I don't think there's anything that's off the table with the offensive line. So it's Tegra bottomed out on Saturday. And it could have been like the perfect time to bottom out if like Josh Padilla played. And we could have left Saturday thinking that was bad. Start Josh Padilla and let's continue to keep this thing moving. But instead we're at that was bad. But also, we don't know if Josh Padilla would have done any better or any worse because he didn't play. And to make an assumption based off of his rotational role at times, which I think he's had some good moments, right? But it's not like Tegra Shabola played so bad on Saturday, and yet we're asking why is he still starting over Quentin Nelson? We're asking why are you not exploring other options? And the answer is, well, we did. The other option didn't travel. I don't know what to tell you. So
I mean, I'll tap into your question, like the question you sent me in the email before we started this. Like, I don't know if Gabe Van Sickle particularly won the job. You know, like I don't know if Ethan Onwenu particularly won the job, and that's kind of your problem at right guard. Is like Ryan Day talked about it after the bye week before Penn State. Of like, I don't know, the way Ryan Day talked about it doesn't seem like Josh Padilla won the job during the bye week either. So what do you do? And I think that's why we toss out all these names because they're all an option, right? Because Tegra Shabola also hasn't won the job, right? So Josh Padilla, Gabe Van Sickle, Ethan Onwenu, they're all options there. But what if this team reviews the film and the best of the crop is Tegra Shabola? We have to be open.
Then he can't bottom out like he did on Saturday.
It was rough. It was rough against him.
That's my answer. If they get through all this and the answer is still Tegra Shabola, I think that's an unfortunate conclusion because it also says something about what's going on behind him right now, and maybe less about Gabe because he's in his 2nd year, but maybe we're just wrong about Josh Padilla. But it also just means that regardless of who ends up coming out of this as the guy, that guy can't look as bad as Tegra looked on Saturday. Yeah, because they're not going to lose against UCLA, they're not going to lose against Rutgers, and quite frankly, that won't be the reason they lose against Michigan either because they don't have Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant in there. And I also just think they're about to air it out against Michigan unless it's a freaking blizzard in Ann Arbor that weekend. But it'll be the reason you don't win a national championship. Yeah. If whoever is at right guard looks as bad as right guard looked on Saturday. Let's take a break. That was a lot of offensive line talk. Let's get back to some skill positions because that's where I thrive. With the skill positions here on Buckeye Talk.
Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
The Lincoln Wishlist sales event is happening now. Here's what's on everyone's wish list. Enjoying holiday jingles with brilliant 3D audio that surrounds you? Check. Watching snow flurries through the panoramic Vista roof? Check. Packing up presents with the spacious Lincoln Splitgate? Check. Everything you want. All standard on the 2025 Lincoln Navigator SUV. Visit your local Lincoln retailer or learn more at cleveland.com for exceptional offers on 2025 Lincoln vehicles today.
We're back here with Buckeye Talk. Stephen Means and Stefan Krajisnik, your Leave No Doubt pod. A lot of doubt with the offensive line, but really just with one spot. And doubt's probably not the word. It's more just like you would like someone to answer the question emphatically versus you don't want right guard to turn into the 2023 quarterback battle where somebody's got to win, but that's not like there's a difference between like somebody won because there's a winner and a loser in every competition versus somebody won the battle. And that's just not the description that 2023 has. I was laughing a second ago because as we were having this conversation, we got our first email for our first round of votes for the Cleveland.com award. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Oh, it comes out. Yeah, as people are listening to this. We got the email on Sunday evening, but the ballots come out Monday. I'm just going to be real with you. Jeremiah Smith's going to be number one for me. And Cardinal Tate's probably going to be number two. And then one of the Tennessee guys is probably going to be number three. Either that or Elijah Surratt. I don't know yet, but Jeremiah Smith should win the Cleveland.com award. Everything doesn't have to be like broken down and picked apart. Just turn the TV on, okay? He had 137 yards and a touchdown on 10 targets, and he caught all 10 of those targets while his running mate was standing on the sideline the entire game. And so Purdue realized after 2 drives, oh, wait, we can double him all day. And he still did that.
Were you surprised? Were you surprised that was his career high in receptions, 10?
No.
I thought he had more in a game last year. I guess not.
He had 9 a bunch last year. No, because your slot receiver was getting a bunch of catches last year with Emeka. The running backs were a little bit more involved. But also he was more of a
slot receiver caught a touchdown in the NFL on Sunday.
I know. Emeka Buka is great to have on your
Emeka's awesome. Team. Emeka has I like NFL Sundays because I can kind of just watch games and be like, just enjoy football without having to work. Emeka's awesome.
Thanks, Mech. You've been great to my fantasy team this year.
6 catches on 13 targets, 115 yards, and a touchdown against the Patriots on a Sunday. That's without mentioning Travion Henderson, 14 carries, 147 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, you mean to tell me they finally realized that they drafted a running back in the second round and they should probably give him the ball?
And what's funny is I was kind of getting to the point where I was like, is Travion not working out for the Patriots? No, he's working out for the Patriots. He scored a touchdown where he got to the second level and took off. We saw him for Ohio State. And the camera, they were doing the highlights of fans reacting. And again, for the sake of a microphone being in front of me, there was a fan who was like, "Oh, blank," and I was like, she just experienced Travion Henderson for the first time.
Yeah. I don't know. You draft a running back in the second round, give him the ball. The Browns have been doing it. It's the only thing that's working about them right now. Quinshon Judkins is the only good thing about that offense right now. Am I surprised that this was his career high? No, because if you remember, last year, he was averaging 17.3 yards per catch. So he was just downfield more often. So it took less catches to rack up yards. They never really force-fed him last year. It just more, I'm JJ, hear me roar. This felt like the most force-feeding, and I guess we'll start with the wide receivers first. I think if anybody out there is still wondering why Brandon Ennis is playing more than Bryson Rodgers and Mylan Graham, I think you got your answer on Saturday. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. There's more to the job than just catching the ball. But remember, after the spring game, Ryan Day did say that Mylan Graham has to work on finishing catches. That first target is a prime example of that. I understand. Great D by the defender, but the ball, he was dropping the ball before the defender even got there. He heard some footsteps, and that's kind of just what it was. I think Bryson Rodgers showed some reliability, and he had some big catches, especially in some third and long situations. But he's a fine blocker, not a great blocker. I would say this. I think Bryson Rodgers and Brandon Ennis, from a passing game, ball in their hand standpoint, they might be equal. I think Brandon Ennis is the better blocker, so Brandon Ennis plays, especially for what that role is right now when you have 2 monsters on the outside. I think Mylan Graham has a bright future, and I like how he came back in the second half. And they ran that play for him to get the ball in his hands. He made a really good catch on that play. But you could tell Carnell Tate was missed on Saturday, even if Jeremiah Smith had a field day.
Yeah, Saturday was a good day for Carnell Tate's NFL draft stock and for his Biletnikoff. I won't name the team. There was an NFL scout in the press box who looked at me, Steven, and Andrew, because we happen to be sitting next to him. This is not NFL scouts know Cleveland.com knows ball.
No, you could have let that ride and be like, hey, the scouts were all texting us during the game, where's Carnell Tate? Cleveland.com's got to tell us.
Yeah, no, it was Sure, you could take Steven's approach. It was more he happened to be sitting next to us, so he asked us, "Hey, what's up with Cardell Tate?" And we were like, "He's just not playing because Ohio State randomly does this." The scout. Here's what I'll say.
He was a Bears scout. You have to reveal, as a Bears fan, you have to reveal that information.
It wasn't a Bears scout. It was
Did the Bears scout not show up?
Bears seat. The Bears scouts were not at the game. Worries me a little bit. Okay. Why are we not watching Arvell Reese at every given second of every given moment? But maybe the Bears scouts are saying, Bears fan Steph is watching Arvell Reese. We'll let him do the dirty work, and we'll trust him. The scout who looked over at us and asked us what's up with Carnell Tate, I think his team is going to pick in a top 10.
Which is why he's at this game, because there's like a bunch of top 10 picks on his team.
So the point is, Carnell Tate's a top 10 pick. And that's point number one. Point number two is when top 10 pick Carnell Tate doesn't play, I think we see the result. Did it feel like Saturday was a good day for Carnell Tate and for Josh Padilla, and neither of them played in the football game.
But like one was like a hypothetical good day, and the other one was like, no, this was like they need Carnell Tate. And to be fair, part of the reason is because it's not like they knew Carnell Tate was going to not play in this game on a Monday, so they spent the entire week game planning for it. The way Ryan Day made it sound, because Carnell went through warm-ups and everything. Yeah. And the way he described it was he went through warm-ups, something was tight, they didn't want to risk it. And so there are probably a lot of things, because Carnell Tate is your second best weapon, that you spent 5 days of practice working and repping to get ready to play in this game and game plan for. And then when all of a sudden weapon number 2 feels tight and doesn't play, you are scrambling a little bit and trying to adapt to how you're going to do some things here. And I think the first couple of drives where Ohio State, they didn't score on the first drive, but they scored on the second one. But you could see them trying to work it out, because again, Bryson Rogers, Mylan Graham have not had roles like this all season, and Bryson Rogers is playing the most snaps he's played in the game since the last time Carnell Tate missed a game, and that was literally 12 months ago. Yeah. So you could see scrambling is the wrong word, because I think people are going to hear scrambling and think that there was something wrong, but you could just see them trying to adapt to the fact that literally the second guy on their game plan of who we need to get the ball to was not playing.
Yeah, absolutely. And to build off that, I thought Bryson Rogers played pretty well. I think it was third down. He kind of ran like a comeback route, and Julian Saint got him the ball. Did he not do something similar against Iowa last year, where it was like a third down play? They got him the ball. Like Bryson Rogers is proven to be, at least, I think the right word would probably be trustworthy, right?
Yeah.
Like a third down, you get the ball to this guy, they trust him enough. So, also Bryson Rogers, I thought he played well. I thought Mylan Graham got the first opportunity with Carnell Tate being out and didn't necessarily take advantage of it to the full extent.
Yep.
But then he got opportunities later in the game, and I thought he played pretty well. But I thought Bryson Rogers, he's probably this team's fourth receiver right now. Even with Quincy Porter kind of emerging, even with Mylan Graham doing what he did in the spring, it feels like gotta have it. Who's coming in fourth receiver? It's probably Bryson Rogers right now.
Meaning, Brandon Ennis had a catch in a national championship game last year. If a fourth receiver has a catch in a national championship game this year, it's Bryson Rogers.
I mean, Brandon Ennis had a touchdown against Penn State on the road.
Right.
A game that Ohio State won by 7, I think it was.
Right. And that is the description we are putting on Bryson. And I think that's fair.
That's fine.
Because that's a trust conversation.
That's a good place to be.
And I just think if you were on the side of like, we need more I wish, again, there's another dude that we wish like Quincy Porter. This would have been a great day for him, because that's the other part of this. Quincy Porter is the only other receiver in the room right now who like travels, because Bodkin Miller's not in this conversation, who is built like Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith as a bigger outside receiver. And that, I'm not saying from a talent standpoint, but from a physical makeup standpoint, that would have been a 1-for-1 trade-off if Quincy Porter, who also went through warm-ups and didn't play, would have been available.
Did he not play?
I don't think Quincy played.
Let me see. You're right, yeah. No offensive snaps. I thought he played. Never mind.
But that would have been a better 1-for-1 trade-off in terms of physical makeup. And this would have been a great day for Quincy Porter to maybe get some opportunities if he would have gotten those opportunities. But I just think if you were on the side of you're maybe a little bit more underwhelmed about what you're seeing from Brandon Ennis and you think that Mylan Graham has a higher upside, I don't think this was a validation day for you for Mylan Graham. And he was fine, right? This is not saying he played bad. He had a 20-yard catch and they didn't count it as a drop, but I think it was a drop. I think he dropped the ball on that first one. But there's a gap in between. We've had years like 2021 where like if Chris and Garrett don't play, it's okay. Marvin Harrison Jr. is on your bench, and so is Emeka Egbuka. I don't think it's quite that. I think there is a gap right now between starters and especially the top two. And I think JJ and Carnell, gap. Brandon Ennis, mini gap, but still a gap. Bryson Rogers, mini gap, but still a gap. Mylan Graham and Quincy Porter. That's, I think, what the hierarchy. That's a fine hierarchy. 2021 is an unrealistic expectation for every wide receiver room where there are 5 first-round draft picks, and the 6th one had to go south to Bama to go be a first-round draft.
Can I say one thing about receivers kind of in general? This might be the best year of receiver play in the Big Ten in quite some time. I went back. I was looking at CFBstats.com is something that us reporters look at quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
It only takes us back to like 2016-ish, I think is the year.
Yeah.
This on pace is the first year since at least 2016, considering what receiver play and passing offenses in the Big Ten were before 2016, probably ever. We have 6 guys averaging over 80 yards per game. We have not had that since at least 2016. I think there was a year where there was 5 guys that had 80 yards per reception. When you look at Elijah Surratt, Cardinal Tate, Jeremiah Smith, Mekhi Lemon, the list goes on and on. It's an elite year of receiver play in the Big Ten, and it's important for Ohio State to have these options that they have. And I agree with you. It's probably at a point where Saturday probably reminded us how good the dudes at the top are in terms of Carnell, Jeremiah, and Brandon Ennis. Right? There is that gap between what's after them, but. I don't know. What if in a couple of years Mylan Graham's a first-round pick?
And that's the thing is that this is not about Mylan Graham's future. He might still end up being that good, right? It's just I think we've gotten into this habit of by year 2 these dudes are ready to go around here, and that's not always going to be the case.
Some guys take an extra year. That's fine.
Right. I'm looking at that.
Would it surprise you if next year Brandon Ennis had 1,000 yards?
No,
it
wouldn't.
Would it surprise me at all?
Because he'd be number 2 versus number 3.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm looking at that. I can't believe you beat me on a receiver stat. In 2016, Austin Carr is the only one.
You just had that bookmark. That feels like you just had that bookmark. That website.
I do. I spend an absurd amount of time on CFB stats and PFF. No, actually not PFF as much. CFB stats, yes. It's you know how you type in a website and after you do it for so long, then your computer just automatically does it for you. That's where it's at. Yeah. And the embarrassing part is it
be that bad. That Stephen Means' burner.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. That's my favorite. That's my favorite stat every week that comes out of. Did you really beat that team that bad? It's like, man, I love that stat. 2016, Austin Carr at Northwestern was the only one over 80. He's at 95.9. And 2017, DJ Moore at Maryland. Maryland's got like a sneaky good history of wide receivers, man. And Stanley Morgan Jr. at Nebraska were the only 2 over 80. In 2018, you had 4 with Stanley Morgan Jr. and J.D. Spielman at Nebraska doing it. Tyler Johnson at Minnesota and Rondale Moore at Purdue doing it. 2019, you had 4 again. Tyler Johnson at Minnesota was over 100 yards, actually. Rashad Bateman at Minnesota. David Bell at Purdue. And Watt Fillior. You know that name.
Oh, yeah.
He also was over it. In 2020, the outlier year where nobody played 12 games, you had 5 guys over 90 with David Bell, Chris Olave, Jahan Dotson, Garrett Wilson, and Ty Freifogel. 2021, you had 4 guys above 90. SN, David Bell, Jahan Dotson, and Garrett Wilson. So, like, you literally are seeing the gradual here. And then in 2022, you had 4 guys again. 23, it's Marv, and then Illinois' Isaiah Williams. So you went back down, and that's the change in the clock rules, obviously. And then last year you had 3, and as you already mentioned, you got 6 right now doing it, and they're like all over the place, right? Yeah. It's not just like the best teams in the conference. Mekhi Lemon leads the way. Jeremiah Smith is behind him. KJ Dove, Ian Strong, Carnell Tate, Denzel Boston. Like Elijah Surratt is under 70. right, yeah, now, but are we looking at Elijah Surratt and going like, oh, he's not a good receiver? You're going to know, like
he's at worst probably the third best receiver in the Big Ten.
Right. So that's as much as it is like Jacoby Lane is at 65, Nick Marsh at Michigan State at 61. Like this is a heck of a conference with wide receiver play because it's better than the SEC, right?
You're not
running back.
Not allowed to say that.
I can say whatever I want. I'm not afraid of you, SEC. Running backs. Here's their numbers in terms of they played 4 again. Bo Jackson, 25 snaps, 14 carries for 75 yards. He would have had a 15th carry for 75 yards, but, they called JJ for a block in the back, which was like an unnecessary block. He didn't have to touch him, but it is what it is. He also had a catch for 10 yards in this game. Isaiah West, 20 snaps, 9 carries for 60 yards. He was running hard, man. Running hard in this game. James Peoples, 19 snaps, 8 carries for 26 yards. I thought he was the victim of a lot of the run game missed assignments in the blocking scheme a lot of the time, and it's unfortunate. And then CJ Donaldson, 14 snaps. As the touchdown merchant he is, 5 carries for 12 yards and 2 touchdowns. James Peoples also had 2 catches for 9 yards. Does Ohio State actually have to narrow down its running back rotation, or is this fine? Like, Bo Jackson's their guy, and then they just got 2 other guys who rotate in with him, and then CJ Donaldson comes in situationals.
I think it's fine. That would be my takeaway. I think it's important that Ohio State knows who their number 1 guy is. I think they know that. I think Carlos Lockland knows that. I think Brian Hartline knows that. And I think Ryan Day knows that. And if you've got that established, and you've got your situational guy established with CJ Donaldson, then I think you're fine after that. Don't hand it off to Nate Roberts.
That was important to say because they keep doing it. I just like Bo Jackson. They're not going to give him the ball 20 times, and then against Michigan and in the playoff, they're going to give him the ball 20.
I thought he was awesome. I thought he was
great.
Awesome. Let me flip my page here. Like now I'm not. Now that I need to find the page in my notepad, I'm not going to be able to find it. But he was so good in the rushing attack just because his balance of. So he had, here, I found the page. Between 0 to 4 yards, 9 of his carries. Between 5 to 9 yards, 2 of his carries. 10 plus yards, 3 carries. His ratio of 0 to 4 to 5 plus was 9 to 5. That's really good. And 3 of those were situational downs where you needed a yard or 2, and he got you the first down, right? And whether he got you 4 yards, whether he got you 2 yards, he got you the first down, right? So I'm looking at this being like, the answer to Ohio State's run game has been Bo Jackson this whole time. Yeah. And now you add into it a CJ Donaldson who, say what you will about CJ, has converted for Ohio State in situations. When they've needed him to convert, more often than not, he's converted. You call him, touchdown merchant. That's a fair description on him.
He has 9 touchdowns.
Yes. And he's getting you 9 touchdowns when, guess what? When you need 9 touchdowns.
No. I'm sorry, because it sounds like I'm saying that like I'm complaining. I'm just pointing out the fact that a running back has scored 12 touchdowns for Ohio State this year, and he has 9 of them. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But
Bo Jackson has been awesome. And I think the rotation of Bo Jackson doing what he does, that ratio that I talked about, Bo Jackson gives you an element of explosiveness balanced with he can also convert in short yardage. CJ Donaldson gives you a situational guy who, when you need a touchdown or you need a 3rd and 1 or you need maybe a 4th and 1 in a playoff game, he's going to give it to you. And then you add in Isaiah West, who also has explosiveness. And then you add in James Peoples, who is really damn good. And also, we've seen him in the passing game. So it's like all 4 of these guys are starting to give you something. Bo Jackson's the best one. CJ Donaldson's the best situational one. But all 4 of them give you something. I thought the way they used their running backs against Purdue was the best they've done this season.
But also Isaiah West, pass pro, that play is why CJ Donaldson's role in the situationals is never going away.
Yep.
And it's not a shot at Isaiah. He's a true freshman running back. And running backs who are awesome in high school, they're not pass proing with that guy. Giving him the ball.
Travion was the best pass blocker in college football last year. Guess what? He's a rookie in the NFL who's kind of having to like relearn how to do it. He's not the best. Right. He's not the best pass blocker in the NFL. Why? Because he's a rookie. Isaiah West is a rookie.
And Travion Henderson wasn't great at that. when he first got here.
Yep.
And you want to know why? Because if your running back is awesome, you're giving him the ball. He's not blocking for nobody, man. It's the same thing at wide receiver. Hey, Garrett Wilson's not that great of a blocker as a wide receiver. Yeah, because they're not making that dude block. They're giving him the ball. He's routing dudes up. So the fact that, like, Carnell Tate is so good at this, I don't think Carnell Tate was that great of a blocker in 2023. No, JJ is an okay blocker. All right. I'm giving JJ the ball. He's not going to be blocking anyway. People are going to be blocking for him. But I loved it. I loved what I saw because they're not going to give Bo Jackson the ball more than 15 times in a game during the regular season before November 29th. Because it's not smart to do that. They need Bo Jackson in December and January. So he's just not going to get the ball more than he's getting the ball right now. And more importantly, he's maximizing those carries. And it's not just, as you said, it's not just a home run. I think that was why we were calling him the best a couple of weeks ago. That wasn't just home runs. That was a average back gets tackled behind the line of scrimmage on some of those runs. But not only did he get back to the line of scrimmage, but he ends up getting the yardage the whole play was blocked up to get anyway. Right? What were we saying a week ago when we were talking about the Penn State game, how it maybe felt like there were some times when, as Dave was saying, the play is blocked up to get you 4 yards. Okay, you got the 4 yards, and now it's on you to be Bo. And there were maybe some times where he didn't necessarily do that. That got fixed in 7 days. That's a prime example of freshman did something in a game, coach corrected it in practice. Very next time he gets the opportunity to do it, 7 days later, you see a whole different version of him, which is why I felt like 5.4 yards per carry for Bo Jackson. I thought that was the best 5.4 yards it could have possibly been. When you take into account that there were some runs where he had to do some things to correct some issues up front, but also he had 75 yards taken away from him because of a penalty.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. I thought Bo, the numbers might not show it. I thought he was terrific.
And yeah, I don't mind them playing 4 if this is how they're going to do it. Where, again, it comes back to, did it feel like someone was on the field when they probably shouldn't have been on the field? Probably yes, in the Isaiah West blocking. You probably should have C.J. Donaldson out there.
Yeah.
But that's the only snap where I felt like I was frustrated with who was on the football field, and that was hindsight. Right? I didn't feel like Bo had 3 good runs, and now he's coming off the field. James had 2 good runs, and now he's coming off the field. Isaiah West was running hard and had a couple of runs where I liked that. It felt like Carlos Loughlin was letting Isaiah West get out there and figure it out. I loved it.
Yeah. I walk away from this game thinking Bo Jackson and Isaiah West are going to be pretty damn good next year.
I think James Peoples might have C.J. Donaldson's role next year if he's still here. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you want to do when you want to play a bunch of backs. I asked Day, after he walked away from the podium, we had a conversation about Nate Roberts in that role and just trying to balance. And I might ask him again. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to ask him about that or if I'm going to ask him about Ethan and Yawa on Tuesday. I don't know. I guess it depends on who goes first between me and Bill, because Bill's definitely going to ask about the offensive line on Tuesday, so maybe I don't even have to worry about that. I don't actually know if Bill's going to ask about the offensive line. I think we all just assume Bill's going to be the one to ask about the offensive line because he likes the offensive line.
Knows ball.
But I felt like Saturday was a balance of you have to let these players make mistakes so they have something to learn from. And we haven't talked a lot about the defense today, but if you remember the first 3rd and long, they put the defensive linemen were Caden Curry in the interior with Kenyatta Jackson and Arvell Reese on the edge, but it wasn't Peyton Pierce as the second linebacker. It was Riley Pettijohn, and his job was clearly to spy Ryan Brown, and he didn't do a good job of it, and so quarterback gets free and ends up getting the first down that he shouldn't have gotten, and they got a free set of yards, right? But you can't be like, Riley Pettijohn made a mistake as a true freshman, we can't play him anymore. No, you have to put Riley Pettijohn in a position understanding that either he's going to do what we all think he's going to do, and that's make the play, or he's going to be a true freshman who makes a mistake. And now you have a teaching moment that James Laurinaitis can use throughout the week. And now next time Riley Pettijohn is in that position, he won't make the same mistake. That's the thing. They threw a lot of dudes out there with the ones. I felt this wasn't a situation where it felt like let's get up by 28 and then we can spend the entire second half playing the bench guys. It was some of the bench guys are going to kind of rotate in with the starters from the first snap to the last snap, and they allowed guys to make mistakes. And the reason I bring up the Pettijohn point is because I just think Riley Pettijohn's going to be awesome. So it was great that they gave him an opportunity to learn from something. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because of the Nate Roberts thing. Back-to-back plays, they hand him off the ball. It's the second time they've handed him the ball off all year. It didn't look great. He didn't get anything. then they do what they probably should have just done on the first play, and that's just gave the ball to C.J. Donaldson, who, again, battering ram. But I don't know if you noticed, Nate Roberts missed the block again. And then he's coming off of the field, and Keenan Bailey grabs his helmet, and like they're having a conversation about it. And as much as I think a lot of fans, and maybe even us two, are like, I'm kind of over the Nate Roberts fullback experience, kind of want to see the Nate Roberts fullback experience for one more week. And not because I want them to do it against Michigan and I want them to do it in playoff games. He's a true freshman that they have a lot of confidence in terms of what his future is going to be and how they might use him in future years. Well, that starts now in planting seeds and letting him go out there in games where you're not going to. I don't know, Nate Roberts missed a hole on the run and he missed the block. And did that make you think, oh no, now Purdue's going to win the football game?
They scored. Ohio State.
That's what I'm saying. And are you good? Right. And if they do it again this week and Nate Roberts missed the block, or they throw him the ball for the first time and he falls down, are you going to go, oh no, Ohio State's got red zone issues because Nate Roberts fell down after he caught the ball? No, you're not, because that's not who's going to be making that catch in a playoff game.
Yeah, I think we're going to write some fun stories about Nate Roberts in a couple of years when he's this team's starting tight end and he's doing good things. I understand if you're a fan who's thinking the Nate Roberts experience in terms of him being the fullback doing what he's doing, like I'm over it. Like I get it if you're a fan who's thinking that. Overall though, like I get it. I get what Ohio State's doing. Everything Ohio State has done has made a ton of sense. And like you said, it extends to Riley Pettijohn. Is Arvil Reese almost too good for me to keep claiming that I discovered him? Because I think I might have to start driving the bus for Riley Pettijohn now. I might
No. I'm not letting you claim that, Melton. I thought Riley Pettijohn.
Are you calling dibs right now? I'm driving a bus.
I think I'm calling dibs right now. Let me tell you why. Because the day he committed, I was like watching his film, and I'm like, that dude's going to be a star. And I kept refreshing the rankings every so often. He was a 5-star linebacker at one point. He didn't end up being one at the end. And I kept asking Gillis and then other people who just cover recruiting around to be like, why is he not a 5-star recruit? So why is he not a 5-star recruit again? So like, what? Is there something missing? Because I don't know, super athlete. He's the son of athletes like Duke Pettijohn. He played at Syracuse, and like his mother is like very active on social media and like very positive.
Matt Patricia coaches that.
Who does?
Matt Patricia coaches that at Syracuse.
That's true. His dad, yeah, that's true. And so it's like, I don't know, like he's a super athlete from Texas. Like, why is he not a 5-star recruit again? And nobody really had a good answer for me. They were just like, yeah, I agree with you. So I'm like, okay, yeah, but like, why is it not like tangibly on the website 5 stars next to this kid's name? So no, you could not claim him.
Can I get
I am claiming number 20. Are you? Well, okay, if I have to choose, because I've also been calling Devin Sanchez Jalen Ramsey since the day. I like walked into somebody's office in the Woody when Devin was still a recruit, and I just went, I just want you to tell me I'm not crazy if I ask you, is this kid Jalen Ramsey? And they were like, yeah, I could see it.
You're not leaving anyone for the rest of us.
No. Fine. If I have to choose one of the two Texas, should be both 5 stars. I'll take that.
Okay. You know what? Moral of the story: Nate Roberts is Rob Gronkowski. I'll do that. How about I go on that?
I'm good. I'm good with it. But no, seriously, I just think, am I out on the Nate Roberts fullback experience? Yes, but I am not out on Nate Roberts getting experience in games that are non-consequential. No, I think this is valuable. I think these are valuable snaps for Nate Roberts and Riley Pettijohn and even Devin Sanchez, who he had a DPI, a Leroy Roker, Fahim Delane, Jarquez Carter, Jason Moore made a play at the end of the game on Saturday. I just think these are valuable because that's the thing is, yeah, you're trying to win a national championship this year, but you're also trying to develop for the future.
And it's irritating to watch at times, but
yeah, but it's necessary because you know what's going to happen?
It is what it is.
Yeah, because what's going to happen is next year when Riley Pettijohn is sacking Arch Manning in Austin, Texas, we're going to go, hey, remember when Riley Pettijohn messed up his assignment against Purdue? That's why that was so important, because this is what he's doing now in high leverage snaps. Hey, remember when Devin Sanchez had the DPI in the end zone against Illinois? That's why that was so important, because now he's locking up Ryan Wingo.
Remember when Jeremiah Smith dropped his first pass?
Jeremiah Smith dropped his first pass, and the rest was history. So I don't. It's maddening to watch, but it's necessary for a team who still does have a lot of young guys who, quite frankly, in some of these spots are 4 months away from being frontline guys. And we have to remember, especially linebacker, tight end, corner, like those guys they're going to be starters in 12 months. So we have to keep that in mind when they have these guys out there, especially when, again, like Purdue was never going to beat Ohio State. And they weren't even going to keep up with Ohio State. I thought like Barry Odom said it after the game, like this is the team we're chasing in every element of college football. Like this was never going to be close. We'll take our last break, and then we'll go very quickly on Julian Sand here.
Optimism isn't sunshine and rainbows. It's fixing things, changing the way we fix things. It's running the world on smarter energy. Because if optimism never stops, then change can't either. GE Vernova, the energy of change.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana.
And we're back here on Buckeye Talk. Stephen Means, Stefan Krajisnik. Leave No Doubt Pod. Julian Sand, 27 of 33, 303 yards, a touchdown and an interception. I think he left 2 touchdowns on the board on Saturday. I thought, but other than that, I mean, he completed 82% of his passes very quickly. We're going less than 7 minutes on this. One word to describe Julian Sand's game 9 performance and why.
Necessary. That's the word I'm going with. It was just everything Ohio State needed, he provided. Right, like deep balls to like, especially the touchdown he had to Jeremiah Smith was just, I mean, it was just perfect, right? And sure, he missed to Max Clare on kind of like the same pass later in the game, but it's just in a game where you didn't have Carnell Tate, where you kind of just needed some things to get moving on offense, and it was kind of clunky, and you were trying to figure it out. Like Julian Sand just gave you everything that was necessary, right? I thought he managed a run game well. He had 1, maybe 2 scrambles that I thought were kind of what Ohio State needed. Your offensive line was kind of moving a million pieces around, and he, when he had to take one step to his left, he was perfect. When he had to take one step to his right, he was perfect. I just thought everything he did was kind of necessary, and I like the Heisman odds. They continue to fluctuate every week. It's just like, I say this to like my Indiana friends. I say this to my Ohio State friends who are listening to this podcast. Indianapolis is going to settle everything. It's going to settle the number 1 seed. It's going to settle the Heisman. Like, I pulled up, Twitter today, and it's like, there's fans bashing Indiana for what happened against Penn State. There's fans bashing Julian Sand for the fact that it wasn't necessarily like eye-popping what he did against Penn State. And I'm just sitting there being like, I don't know, man. Fernando Mendoza, Julian Sand, they're both doing everything that's kind of necessary right now. And we're just going to settle it in Indianapolis when the time comes to it. And it just is what it is. So I thought when you sent the email, you were like, what last segment was one word to describe Julian Sand, his performance against Purdue. It was kind of necessary. He did everything that he needed to do. He walked in healthy. He walked out healthy. All right, we move on to the next one.
Yeah, it just like doesn't matter. The Heisman, no, I think if they'd have lost, then it mattered a little bit. Because
Absolutely, yeah.
Because then now one of these guys has an uphill battle to climb in Indianapolis. But like, it doesn't matter.
But even if Indiana had lost against Penn State and then Fernando Mendoza comes back and beats Ohio State in the Big Ten title game, he probably wins the Heisman.
Yeah, I think if one of these 2 guys is not undefeated, it just opens the door for Ty Simpson or Marcel Reed.
Right, yeah.
A little bit more than they would have. But like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. It literally doesn't. The Heisman race is over. It's over. There's 4 guys who are going to spend 3 more weeks getting loose before they get into their blocks that first weekend of December. And it's on your mark, set, go, right? And 2 guys have a better chance than the other 2 guys are. And it's 4 quarterbacks and Jeremiah Smith, all fighting for 4 spots. And none of those spots get decided until after December 6th. So, like, I don't care what the betting odds say. I don't care about, with all due respect to, Dan Orlovsky and every other national person who pops in on college football every so often. It literally does not matter. Professional is my word. He looked like a professional quarterback. Made some mistakes. He was 2 for 5 on throws over 20 yards, but like that's normal. What he has been doing has been the abnormality. He was 8 of 10 from 10 to 19 yards. He completed all his passes either behind the line of scrimmage or anything under 9 yards. He completed all 17 of those passes. I don't know, I just found myself at times just watching him and how he controlled the huddle. And there were times where you could see him like trying to get Brian Hartline to hurry up and say the call quicker so they could get going. When they went tempo, it looked good. He's down one of his receivers. The right side of his offensive line feels like it's changing every 7 snaps. They're trying to figure out the run game. I just thought he looked like a professional quarterback. And that's all I was needed. He didn't need to look like the best quarterback in the world. He didn't need to look like he was going to win the Heisman. He didn't look like he was going to be a first round. He just needed to look like a professional quarterback because Ohio State played a professional football game on Saturday.
And that's exactly right. Ohio State's taking a professional approach. They know if Ohio State's going to get the number 1 seed, beat Indiana in Indianapolis. If Julian Saint's going to win the Heisman, beat Indiana in Indianapolis. If Julian Saint's going to be the number 1 pick in the 2027 NFL draft, get through the season, win a national title, do it again next year, play really well, like he's going to be talked about as one of the best quarterbacks in his draft class. Ohio State just is approaching this the right way. If you win, if guys show up on the biggest stage, the awards, the accolades, the draft picks, that's all going to come with it. And it's just that's the approach. And it's boring because I think we're all asking you to wait a little bit, right? Don't crown Julian Saint the Heisman winner until he does it against Michigan and Indiana. But when you get to November 29th and you get to December 6th, he's probably going to show up and he might win himself those awards. He might win himself a national title. He might win himself Heisman. And it's just like, I don't know, just wait until you get there and it's probably going to work itself out.
Yeah.
And that is very professional. I think that's like, if you look at Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, the guys who are competing for, MVP as we speak right now, like, I don't know, like if Patrick Mahomes keeps doing his thing and Chiefs end up being in the 1 seed or something like that, like, man, he's probably going to win the MVP. Like, that's kind of how this stuff works.
And I get it. Like, Julian Saint played Penn State last week, and the world was watching him because that game was supposed to be a bigger deal, and so there were more national people paying attention to it, even if the on-field product wasn't that. And so that was the moment that the world was paying attention to Julian Saint, so they left that game with Julian Saint, Heisman Trophy, which is exactly why Ohio State picked that moment to launch the campaign for him and JJ. And coming out for this weekend, Stefan and I both got emails from Ohio State doing more of that, and I'm sure we're going to get another email next Sunday, and then the Sunday after that, and then if they beat Michigan, we'll probably get like 4 emails, right? Because that's
might get a phone call from Ryan Day.
We might get phone calls from Ryan, like voice memos from Ryan Day saying, "You know what to do, or you can never cover this team again." I'm joking. Ryan doesn't act like that, but it's just we're in November, so everybody's doing their best job to campaign. And when you come off of a game when the world was paying attention to you, obviously all the attention goes your way. Fernando Mendoza, even if he hadn't let a fourth quarter comeback, if they had just done what they probably should have done to Penn State, and that's what Ohio State did to Penn State, he probably would have been the Heisman Trophy betting on coming out of the game regardless, right? Yeah. And if LSU had not gone down the drain, Ty Simpson probably would have left. It's just going to be a revolving door. And again, it does not matter at all, which is why, I'm going to be real with you. We're not about to be having Heisman Trophy conversations for the next couple of weeks. Because it's like, what am I going to do? Oh, Julian Saint beat a UCLA team who fired its head coach a month ago. Did he win the Heisman Trophy today? No, that's not a thing. What are we doing? Jeremiah Smith against UCLA, who doesn't have a pulse, had 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. He should win the Biletnikoff. No, I already think he should win the Biletnikoff. There's nothing he's going to do against UCLA that's going to change that opinion. So there it is. Beat Michigan, get to Indianapolis, and the winner gets probably the Heisman, the Davey O'Brien Award, the number 1 seed in the college football playoff, Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, Big Ten Quarterback of the Year, and every other award you can think of. Don't do those things, and you're not going to get those awards. So what we're going to do for the next couple of weeks here is have some fun. Our Retalkables coming up for this week on the live show. We're going to be rewatching the last time Nico Iamaleava came to Ohio Stadium and how that went. And it's just fun. It's a fun thing to do, right? And then on Saturday, we're going to watch them play a professional football game again. And during the game, I'm going to look at Stefan and go, I hate this. I hate this. And at the end of the game, I'm going to go, this was stupid. Just throw the ball. And then on Sunday, him and I are going to sit down and I'm going to go, you know what, Stefan, you were right. This was probably the right approach to this game. And then we're going to do it one more time against Rutgers. And then Michigan week is here.
The goal is for Michigan week, we say they threw away all the bad stuff. And all the good stuff showed up.
Yeah. But the thing is, this stuff isn't even bad stuff. It's just, we're watching them practice on Saturdays.
Yeah. Again, so Nate Roberts is going to catch or score a touchdown against Michigan. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Like, all this is either like the biggest troll job in the world, or Nate Roberts is catching a touchdown pass against Michigan. There's no in between here.
With Brandon Inniss throwing it to him.
I think Gus Johnson might lose his voice for good if that happens.
Also, I'll say real quick, Gus is enjoying his non-Ohio State games. He loved calling that. Like, Gus still has his fastball. Gus is still good. It just, Ohio State's not getting them the best games when he has to call Ohio State games. The Omar Cooper, which, by the way, like one of the best plays in recent history. Omar Cooper getting in, making that catch against Penn State for Indiana. Gus Johnson just I think he died. Like, I think he died and came back to life during that call.
That's a hell. I think Ohio State fans feel like they're not getting paid attention to and getting ignored. And so what's happening is, and some of this is the social media aspect. I don't think every fan is doing this, right? Social media is a small conglomerate of people in the grand scheme of things. But I do think there is a portion of the fan base who probably feels a little bit ignored because they do something and everybody dismisses it. Indiana has to escape a Penn State team who hasn't won a Power 4 game since January, and the entire world erupts, and Indiana gets crowned with everything under the sun. And I get it. I get the frustration with that. I get the frustration with, like, yeah, that was a great catch. That was a heck of a catch. Yeah. When you take in the difficulty of it, but also the situation of it, because I've seen that catch before. Jackson Smith-Njigba made that exact same catch against Nebraska in 2020. But again, the consequences are different, right? Jackson Smith-Njigba made that catch at the end of a game that was long decided. And so it was cool, but it also, the consequences of it are very different than, like, if Omar Cooper doesn't come down with the catch, Indiana loses that football game. So when you take that into account, yeah, that probably is the catch of the year. It was the Miami catch, the one-handed catch from early in the year. But given the scenario and everything around this catch, I mean, this is, like, Indiana had a lot on the line with that catch, especially since, like, Fernando Mendoza is kind of getting knocked at the same time he's making that throw. So, like, hell of a catch by Omar Cooper. You don't want to take that away from him. But I think I'm just understanding of the Ohio State fan plight right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
When it feels like they're beating everybody to a pulp, and instead of people going, whoa, Ohio State is making decent to good football teams look like putty, it's being spun as Ohio State hasn't played anybody, when the College Football Playoff Committee just told us on Tuesday that's not true.
Yep.
So I do think there is a way to do both. There is a way to be excited about what ended up being a heck of a game, and probably should have always been a heck of a game. Penn State's not supposed to be that bad. So the fact that that was a 4-quarter game, if someone would have told you that was going to be a 4-quarter game in August, you'd be like, yeah. Unfortunately, one of these teams has not been what they were supposed to be. Great game by Indiana. Great moment by Fernando Mendoza. Great game by Ohio State. Professional approach for 9 games that they're going to continue to do for 2 more games. None of it matters when it comes to any level of hardware. And that's what's important right now. So any overreactions of people trying to give people awards or anything before December 6th, everybody just be quiet and enjoy the football games, man. Just enjoy the football games. 614-350-3315. It's a 2-week free trial, $3.99 after that. Rants Pod coming your way on Tuesday. Live show, rewatching the Tennessee game with our Retalkables categories on Wednesday, and that'll also be up Thursday morning in your feeds for those who can't make it. But please try to join us, man. We have a good time on the live show, and producer Brennan makes us look good.
Yep.
It's not me. It's not me doing that. It's producer Brennan who makes us look good. And then game preview pod, Ohio State, UCLA. First time that these two teams will play as conference opponents on Saturday. And it's a night game in November. Who thought Ohio State still got those, right? It's crazy. But that's this week. 2 more home games left before the game. For Stefan Krajisnik, I'm Stephen Means. Talk to you guys later.
If we knew more about our sleep, what would we do differently? Would we go to bed at a consistent time or take steps to reduce interruptions to our sleep? With the all-new Sleep Score, Apple Watch measures your bedtime consistency, interruptions, and sleep duration. Then, every morning it combines these factors into an easy-to-understand score from 1 to 100. So you'll know how to take the quality of your sleep from good to excellent. Introducing the new Sleep Score on Apple Watch. iPhone 11 or later required.